As I said in my previous video, the response to an event is more important than the event itself. Who cares if 342 crates of tea get thrown in the Boston Harbor? That's really insignificant compared to what the response to it is going to be. And the British definitely respond. Now, there's going to be two names to the response. It's either the Coercive Acts, if you're an Englishman, or the Intolerable Acts, if you're an American. And it's basically five acts that are going to be passed, four of which are going to be basically punitive against the colonies. The fifth one is basically just salt in the wound. So let's go over the five acts. The first one is the Boston Port Act. This one is fairly simple. It's just basically Boston Harbor is closed. Nothing will go in, nothing will go out until the East India Company is paid back its losses. So we're talking about a substantial amount of money needs to be paid to the East India Company before Boston can be reopened. Number two, the Massachusetts Act. The Massachusetts Act basically installs martial law on Massachusetts. The original charter is going to be gone, and in its place will be a crown-appointed governor and no more elected assemblies. Instead, the councils will be appointed by the crown or by an agent of the crown. And there's going to be a military governor. That military governor is going to be a man named Thomas Gage. We're going to hear about Gage later when it comes to the opening shots in the American Revolution. So basically, martial law has now been declared on Massachusetts. The third act is going to be the Administration of Justice Act. Basically what this is if any soldier that is, any British soldier that is accused of a crime, he will not be tried in the colonies. Rather, he's going to be brought over to England to stand trial. The next act is the Quartering Act, and basically this is going to enhance the existing Quarter Acts, and that any uninhabited or even civilian property must house soldiers. And then finally, the fifth act, the Quebec Act. Again, this is more of a lemon in the wound, salt in the wound, whatever one you want to use. And basically what it does is it enlarges the provinces of Quebec. Remember, Quebec is now part of the British Empire as a result of the French and Indian War. And what this is also going to do is it's going to recognize civil rights for Catholics, for the Roman Catholic Church. Remember, before this, being a Catholic is not exactly a very safe thing to be, unless you live in religiously tolerant colonies, particularly Pennsylvania. But nonetheless, the rights of Catholics are going to be recognized, and the province of Quebec is going to be enlarged. So let me repeat those acts again. The Boston Port Act, Boston is now closed for commerce until the East India Company is paid back. The Massachusetts Act, martial law essentially, a military governor is going to run Massachusetts. The Administration of Justice Act, basically this does is it brings soldiers accused of crimes in the colonies be tried in England. The Quartering Act, requiring all civilian property and uninhabited property to be available to quarter troops. And finally, the Quebec Act, giving the Roman Catholic Church equal rights amongst all the other churches and expands the province of Quebec.